We have inherited a lot of systems that disempower our soul. They remove us from our center, from our God given throne, from our beingness, from our fullness, from our completion, because they force us to co create distortion in order to survive, in order to belong in this world. And I know you sense it because that's why you would resonate with a lot of my videos. And I wanted to begin this video by letting everybody know that in the future, beginning right now, beginning this next second, for you to be able to catch up with my videos, your heart posture has to be in alignment with the highest good for everyone, including your higher self. Because when you're speaking from divine intelligence, when you're sharing this information from the sacred information, we have to be very careful who receives it, because not everybody is for everybody. Not everyone is for love. Not everybody stands for the greatest good for everybody. And that's the truth, the reality. That's the first thing you need to face, that not everybody has the same values as you. Not everybody wants the best for everybody. And you might be becoming aware of these parts within you, these distorted parts, these fragmented parts that believe that you have to uh, um, pull others down for you to come to the top. You have to be the only one at the top. Yes, there's healthy competition, right? But the true competition that you want to invest in is the competition between your past self and your higher self, your lower self and your higher self, your lower mind and your higher mind. That's the true competition. That's the the competition that is sustainable. When it is other people, you're sourcing your sense of self from outside of you, which is how these systems stay erect. They suck life out of you, because we have all these institutions that you get your sense of identity from. We have all these institutions that that feed your ego instead of feeding your soul. And you put in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And then afterwards, whilst you're facing your death and realizing that you actually didn't live life for you, you live life in order to belong in a system that actually doesn't care about you. And depending on your soul's journey, some might awaken sooner than others. And these institutions, they might look like religion, they might look like where you get go to school. They might look like um, um, I don't know all institutions. It might look like a um, social club, right, where you have to prove your worthiness to belong, where you have to prove um, and disconnect from your true gnosis in order to align with their beliefs, to align with their school of thought. And I'm not here intending to demolish the benefits, the good that comes from those institutions. I'm here to bring truth as it is, right? There's nothing to be added onto you, into your core. Everything, when you create life from your fullness, from your wholeness, life becomes more of an adventure, more of an exploration. And a lot of these evil entities and systems that were created to disconnect you from the connection of matter, spirit and matter, right? And this connection happens in your heart, through your heart. And they benefit from this, and that's why they want you to disconnect from your heart. They want you to just be thinking, because thinking keeps you disconnected from. When you become top heavy, you can't surrender to divinity, you can't surrender to your higher self, you can't surrender to more of your being. There is you feel isolated, You feel alone. You feel all the emotions that you're actually really feeling, that you're repressing and you're suppressing, that you're the only person in this world who feels them, which is complete BS, because we all feel these emotions. That's what makes us a human being. And when you're not communicating, when you're not engaging from communicating in a safe space in people who really have your best interest at heart, when you're not communicating from this hard place, and you're intellectualizing everything, you're thinking through your ego mind instead of your soul mind, you always feel like, man, like I'm all alone, because you've created all these barriers, these stories, you've invested into these barriers and these stories that disconnect you from unity consciousness. And especially in the West, there's a lot of individualizing yourself from community. There's a lot of hyper independence, because we build our sense of self from, being at the top, being the last one standing. And yes, that might look great when you're racing, when doing the Olympics. But even in that, there's a healthy competition. There's a competition where you're proving to you, not to others. It's a you thing. It's a challenging yourself into your greatness. It's not about needing other people to know you and know you as the greatest. Everybody knows at our core, everybody knows you're the greatest, because we each, in our soul's blueprint, we each have our greatness already written within us. And when you reconnect to your soul's blueprint, life becomes more meaningful, life becomes more enjoyable, life becomes yours. Right now, it's not yours yet, because you're living according to the blueprint that these systems gave you. They're like, oh, you're not successful until it looks like this, until you have a house like this, until you have had this amount of houses, until you accumulate all these material possessions. If not, you're nobody. And imagine the whole world aiming for that, putting in 20, 30, 40, 50 years for that. But you're not going to bring it with you into the um, into the grave. And even if you did, you probably didn't have financial literacy to know that when you accumulate all this wealth, you need to protect it, because the government is just going to take it if you're not going to protect it. If you don't put it in writing, if you don't get a lawyer to tell, like, hey, this is part of my legacy, pass it down to so and so and so. If you don't, the government takes it. So all that time you spent away from your kids, from your loved ones, it was for nothing. So, but when you come to your soul, when you come to come back to your center, where it's not about the ego, it's not about uh, accumulating success and fulfilling something in the future. You're not creating from that space. Everything that you need, that you didn't even know that you needed, it just shows up. But it doesn't come from separating yourself from spirit. It comes from reconnecting to your spirit body. It comes from unifying through the heart your human self and your soul, the spirit that walks out of the body when it's done its lessons. It's about understanding the gift of life and death. It is about understanding the contrast of your shadow aspects and your light aspects. Because once you do this, when you create that safe space, the fear, the shame, the guilt of individuating from these systems that actually don't pour into your soul, it becomes less of an impact, because you are listening to the inner whispers. You are you're taking them out of the conversation, because this had nothing to do with them. They're just shaming you and disempowering you because they benefit more from you staying than you do. But when your soul whispers and tells you that we have outgrown this system, this is not working for us anymore, you have personal obligation to listen to yourself, to your inner whispers, more than you do to these external voices. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who's going to bed with yourself, who's going to live with yourself. And this is the hard decision I had to make when I started hearing those silent whispers. Like, this is not it. Like 9 to 5 is not it. Um, Taking a major that was been given to you is not it. Create your own major. Um, Move out of the country. You know, these silent whispers, they're there, but because it's something that we've never done before, something that challenges us. It takes us out of our comfort zone. It takes us out of what we actually know. It's scary, but that leap is what actually activates your gifts. It's what actually initiates you into experiences that will prove to you in the future that this is who you really are. This is what your gifts are. So it's not about doing it perfectly so that it looks perfect. You've been given a blueprint and you do it perfectly, you excel. When you don't find fulfillment in that, it's because you are doing it according to other people. You're doing it according to how to other people's genius, and you want to know your genius. You gotta walk your own path. You gotta listen to the soul's whispers. And of course, you want to have structures that ensure that you don't create chaos for your life. You don't create more problems than solutions, right? And this is where being still, no matter where you are at, is a good practice. Because in your stillness, that's where you find balance between um, your knowing and unknowing. This is where you start to practice um, the exhale and inhales, right? So you can tell, like, okay, where have I over invested my energy? And where is it missing? You just know. You don't even need to think this. And when you're disconnecting from your mind and coming back to your heart, you receive different quality of information you would have never received if you're just gathering it from your mind. And a lot of my information here, it requires you to disengage from the mind and come to the heart and receive it from the heart, because that's where the true transformation happens. When you're thinking through it, you're finding logic. We're unifying matter, your physical body with your spirit body. It's not gonna make sense. Not. It makes sense to your center because it expands and amplifies your wholeness. And then when you become more attuned to your remembrance, when you remember more, you're like, wait a minute, I spent 10, 20 years creating more distortions that creates more fragmentations, and you're like, it doesn't make sense. That's when the logic starts kicking in, because you're now thinking from your soul's mind. You're not thinking from what has been conditioned into you, from the blueprint that you've been given externally, because that's not being smart. When you're being when you want to know what works for you, you want to get out of what has been given to you and look at it from all spaces, right? Listen to other people, what other people think from their soul, not from their conditioned mind, from their soul, because you want to go back to the original, where before, when we came out of the womb, before we were given what we're given, because all information is in the DNA. Oh, gnosis is in the spirit. Because for life to happen, like trees, for trees to be trees, do they need to be told what to do? Yes, of course, we've got shrubs that have been trained, because you want it to look a certain way, you want to have a hedge and whatnot. But in nature, trees are just chilling, they're just growing. They have intelligence. They're like, okay, the sun is moving, meandering this way, the wind is meandering this way, so I'm going to meander that way, right? To retain my shape, to retain my strength. Oh, there's no water here. I'm gonna dig deeper, and in the process of that painful process, it becomes stronger. They sustain. They live longer. They live through many human lifetimes because they've inner sourced their power. They're not seeking it and leaning onto other structures external outside of them. If you look around you and look at trees that are leaning onto other structures, their future is not guaranteed. It only leaves it is susceptible. It's living at the mercy of external structures. But when they go deep and deep and deep, They're not leaning on anything. You can tell, like, when you're still enough and you look at a tree, like its presence is just, it's great. It's there. It's like it's its own entity. It's its own um uh being. It's wise. It's seen a lot. You can just feel it. A tree that's like 100, more than 100 years, you can just feel it. And that is the essence of your soul. Your soul knows beyond this lifetime. It knows beyond many lifetimes. And it understands like what systems take away from it that disempower it. And it understands how to use those exact systems to your advantage. It's not about fighting the system. It's not about resisting the system. It's not about creating more survival and getting stressed and being a warrior. What do you call it? Warrior princess of to the at the expense of your well-being. No, we have outgrown. We're evolving out of that consciousness. We don't have to do it that way anymore at the expense of our own well-being. We do it smart by working with spirit and uh, using the information we've gathered to our advantage. We pay attention to where and how our energy leaks, how we allow it to leak, right? Because it's about personal power. Noticing what stories make it leak and where those stories, the origin of those stories, were they conditioned into you? Which institution gave it to you? What belief system came from what institution? Once you start doing that and you start reverse engineering your current egoic identity, right? We all have egos, right? But this ego identity that gets activated, we're like, this is who I need to be. This is if I'm not this person yet, I'm not successful. If I don't have this, I'm not successful. If it doesn't look like this, it doesn't look successful. You want to really, really go back and ask yourself, like, where did this belief system come from? Right? Or this belief system, like, this race is better than this race, or this social class is better than this social class, right? These are all constructs that divide you from really connecting to a web of different perspectives that will actually support in your liberation. Because imagine if you just self-individuate from, yes, you want to be around people who think light, you want to be around people who think abundantly, you want to be around people who take care of themselves, you want to be around people who pour into themselves and who have healthy relationships with their loved ones. You want to be around that because you are who you surround yourself with. But you also want to keep in perspective that you don't want to isolate yourself from people who think differently from you because you're afraid of being wrong. You actually want to be around those people because they challenge you. They see things differently. Remember, a soul is eternal. It's eternal. And these different perspectives help you to liberate yourself from self-constricting thinking. Because you'll be thinking like, oh, this is the only way to do it. And then somebody was like, why are you doing it like that? You can do it like this, and it could be so much easier and so much fun. And you can enjoy your life. Do you want to enjoy your life, or do you want it to be like this because you have something to prove? Right? It's that different way of reframing your mind. You find it when you're around people with different perspectives, different from yours, and who challenge your way of thinking, who create a mirror so you can look at all the distortions that you're creating in your life that are making your life harder than it needs to, that are making living unbearable, that are disconnecting you from your spirit body more and more and more, that are disconnecting you from your heart space more and more and more and more. And it's going to feel uncomfortable because the discomfort is what actually allows you to take a step back and look at what you're creating, what you're attaching your identity to, what you're associating your energy with. And it's in that stillness that you remember that everything that you want to be doing, you wanted to amplify the greatness that already is. the greatness that always was, the greatness that leads through your bloodline. But of course, like when they disconnect you from your body, when they tell you that the body is not important, it's just a thing, and there's no respect and reverence from you for your bloodline, for your DNA, for the information that has been gathered through your DNA, uh for your house, for the holy house, for the chalice, which is your body, which is your heart, which is your womb space, which is your mind, because you're receiving, you're holding whatever you're holding onto, right? It's a choice. But they don't want you to believe it's a choice. They want you to believe that receive everything yet that you've been given, hold on to every thought. And if you don't, you're part of the devil's squad. You're being too free. You shouldn't be free. And everybody who chooses to reprogram their mind, they're part of the devils, because they are living out the divine will, the divine free will. And when you're a child of God, you can do what God does through your human body. Yes, we're having a human experience. So, of course, there's going to be duality of, the conditioning, the mind, and your divine self. There's always going to be that. And it's all about knowing how to dance with that, how to make that part of the dance, part of the routine. I talk about that a lot. If you've watched my videos on this channel, when you're one with the present moment, when you're one with what's life within you, when you're one with the information that's coming to you, without attaching your identity to it, you become so free that now you receive life differently, you perceive life differently. You're not a victim to the systems anymore. You're not attaching your identity like, being a Black woman, we're the least loved and protected and taking care of people. The statistics don't bother you anymore, because you're now writing from your divinity. You're not being conditioned by how the world perceives you, by how where the world places you. You're like, is that so? I'm going to tell a different story. And it's not about being delusional where you're getting out of reality. It's about having free will, divine free will, and choosing to write a different story. Because the mind is where it's at. The game is in the mind. Everything is in the mind. So it's all a matter of what are you accepting into your reality? What are you co-creating on the collective level and on the individual level? It's all personal responsibility. And if you're watching this, you're a visionary, you're a leader, this is your divine role. It's in what stories you're choosing to co-create every single minute. And it's not about coming here and telling other people what you're creating. No, it's a sacred journey. It's what you choose to do with your energy every single minute when no one's watching. That. Not this what you project into the world. No. What you receive, what you're holding, what you're internalizing, the belief system you're internalizing about yourself, about your place in the world, where other people are placing you in the world. Why does it carry such a big load for you? That's where the magic is. You really want to dig deep. Like, why do I really care what these groups think of me? How they perceive me? What the statistics say about me? And when you find that passion, that charge, that's where your blueprint is. That's where you want to swim in. That's where you pivot from. But the pivoting isn't pivoting from your conditioning. It's pivoting from being one with your soul's blueprint, flowing with your soul, swimming within your soul. Going with the current of within, living with the current of within, not going against it. And it's about allowing your soul's whispers to be the initiation into individuating from these systems that are taking from you, that are plugging into your soul and unplugging them, and not seeing you wasting your time in those systems as something wrong, but actually seeing it as a research, as an understanding of how these systems work, and reframing your mind to see how you benefited from these systems. What was the gift for your mission, for your purpose? Because when you become a victim to your past and you're like, oh, I wasted so much time. No, it happened that way for a reason. So what was the reason? This is about personal power. It's not about being a victim. It's not about how it looks, how someone awakened earlier than you did. No, your journey looks like that for a reason, because it applies to your own soul blueprint. So it's all about spending more time in discovering why that is. And when you do that, that magnetism, that authentic magnetism, it comes back, because you're not sourcing yourself outside of yourself. You're coming back home within yourself. And then you easily recognize who's home within too. And you're like, oh, there you are. And you find your people. Easy. Right? And it becomes easier to discern what information is for you, because your heart is open. And I talk about like not keeping your heart too open, especially when you're receiving, when you're unfreezing and you're taking back your energy from negative stories, from stories that were distortions, right? You want to actually keep your heart a little bit closed until that sensitivity is within your control. Your sensitivity is grounded. So you want to put yourself first before you put other people first, because you got to take care of yourself first. People can only help you and support you to the level that you're willing to help yourself. So once you have anchored that, you can open your heart and receive other people, because that sensitivity is not, it's not as overpowering you. It's not taking over you. You're now, it's like you have control over your container, right? And that container, you can keep opening it up as you're like anchoring into it, you're feeling into it, and you can tell like, oh, this is too much. I'm gonna close it a little bit. I'm gonna keep it open, but I close it a little bit. But it's not about closing your heart out of like resentment, out of anger and whatnot. And if you find yourself there, you want to honor all your emotions. And it doesn't mean that go and hurt other people and go hurt yourself. No, you want to honor your negative emotions, because they are holy. All emotions are holy. And you want to ride those emotions and gather the information, the stories, the pain that you're feeling. Really explore like, where's the source? What's the story I'm telling here? What's the story I'm reinvesting into? And does it align with what I truly desire? Am I really worthy of a life where I'm constantly struggling and suffering? Or this is my opportunity to break free of what's been passed down from bloodline, from generation to generation? What has been fed into my mind and my loved ones' minds and my family's minds? Because if you're a black sheep, you're a black sheep if you're watching this. It's guaranteed, right? But when you're a black sheep, you're always going to not live according to how other people live. It's guaranteed. It's your why you came here. You came here to break free from that, to individuate from the conditioning that is disempowering everybody and sucking life out of everybody, your loved ones and the people in your family system. Break out and create a different baseline. Upgrade and create a different baseline by going within yourself and looking at what is live within you right here, right now, and climbing up from there. And your energy, once you do this work, your energy just does the work for you. Transforms people. You don't even need to talk. You're just existing. You're just vibing with yourself. You're just enjoying your presence, your beingness, because you're at home within yourself. And then when other people see you, they're like, there's something. And just being around you, it inspires them. It ignites that remembering. So this is so much bigger than all of us. When you individuate yourself from believing that it's all me, 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 and find the balance to us, me, us, me, we, me, we, right? That purpose becomes clearer, that need, that belonging becomes easier to access, that feeling like you are always belonging, it's always going to be there. And also accessing the values that benefit your soul the most becomes more obvious. So let me know what got activated within you. Always love your comments. Otherwise, if you need support, if you desire support, you can find more information in the about section or below this video. Otherwise, see you on the other side.